Amanda Mackie, do you really think any of these claims by the president have any merit?
I think the president is well within his right to make sure that every legal ballot is counted. And I think that, we waited 37 days in 2000 for this to happen. And we were patient. And I don't know why after 5 days we are being so impatient. There are legal remedies. If we are nothing, we're a country of laws, and the laws allow you to bring your claims before a court. And I believe that that will happen and allow that to happen. And it's really astounding to hear that people are just not willing to allow for the president to be able to do things that are well within his rights.
Yeah, the point is made, though, that this is not a repeat of 2000, where there were 500 votes in it in a key state. These are disputing a number of counts where Joe Biden is thousands of votes ahead, where it is generally accepted that Donald Trump has been defeated. And even if he was successful in disputing the votes that he says he've lost, he still wouldn't make up the margin. So isn't he actually discrediting the presidency and behaving in a disgraceful way that none of his predecessors have done? They have all conceded gracefully when defeated. Trump is refusing to do so.
I think that's the key word, when defeated. These have not been certified.
Well, how's he going to win? Because there aren't enough votes there for him to win in these states. So how's he going to win?
North Carolina still has not declared a winner. So President Trump is likely to win North Carolina. Georgia is going to a recount. Potentially Wisconsin is going to a recount. So I think we have to be patient, and we have to allow for the laws in this country that allow for you to bring your claims before a court. President Trump should not be treated any different than anyone else's, no matter what the claims are. And I would argue that there are
but the point is, even if he wins in North Carolina and Georgia, he's still not going to have enough electoral college votes. So, this is just holding the country to ransom, isn't it, to his own egotism.
I don't think so. And again, I think that, the country wants to know that the integrity of their vote counted. So whether you or anyone else disagrees with that, it is still well within his right to do that. And let me remind you, it has been 5 days. The country has been very patient in allowing for recounts to happen. This happens often in our system. And so I think that just allowing for patients to ensure the integrity of the vote counts will help all Americans.
Oh, hang on. Wait a minute. It's a bit rich, isn't it, for Republicans to now say every vote's got to be counted, when a few days ago, President Trump was tweeting, "Stop the count," and getting his supporters to chant that outside places where votes were being counted. You can't have it both ways.
So every legal vote should count. Every legal vote should count. And in Pennsylvania, if you remember, there was a case that President Trump won. He brought this before the Pennsylvania courts, and they sided with the Trump campaign that meaningful access was not being provided by only allowing for 24 feet from a ballot. So if you now change that to allow, which the courts did, you are allowed to be within 6 feet of a ballot. That is a meaningful change in 4 hours.
Yeah, but hang on, wait a minute. There were observers there anyway. Secondly, further observers were allowed in. But observing, who was able to observe an already independently observed ballot doesn't change the outcome. That's my point. What is the point of this? He's not going to win, and he's just embarrassing himself and the country.
Well, again, I think that is not for you and I to decide. The states have to certify and declare those, and there are still states that are outstanding. There are still cases that are coming before the court. And look, the chips will fall where they will, but allow for the court process to work. If you can go to bed knowing as an American that your vote was surely counted and the integrity of your vote was counted, I think that's important. If half the country, over 70 million people, believe that something could have gone awry, I think that's a bad thing for America. And so we should allow for this to happen. To the extent that it happens, the chips will fall where they will.
Hang on. Wait a minute. people who voted Republican, they know that their votes have counted because they were counted. And it helped them, it helped President Trump get a record number of votes. It helped the Republican Party in the Congress. But that is completely different from telling them that somehow their votes haven't counted. They have counted, just tough for them. They didn't get as many votes as the Democratic candidate.
Well, some people in Pennsylvania, and certainly the Trump campaign believes Pennsylvania, potentially Michigan with system irregularities. We still have not had, the recount happen in the state of Georgia. And so allow for those things to happen. It's hard to believe how impatient people are being after just 5 days. Allow for these things to go forward, which is well.
Oh, come on. This is nonsense. I've covered elections going back to 1980, and normally on the night, the loser concedes, as Hillary Clinton did last time round. And this is the exception. It's not, any great precedent about how long it takes, quite rightly, to finish the technical process in the states. This is about whether the president has the personal qualities to admit that he's lost. It's not about right procedure or full democracy or everybody's vote counting. That's the situation, isn't it?
In previous elections, you haven't had where the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has said, we'll take ballots until Friday, no matter when they were postmarked. You haven't had those issues either. You haven't had the United States Postal Service be such a huge part of the election process in the country. Those are things that I think any American with a straight face would say, okay, well, if there's something there, bring your claim. And that's all we're asking for. Allow for a claim to be brought if there is a claim. I don't see anything wrong with that.
And who's going to pay for it all? Because it's not just the Trump campaign, which will have to raise money and is sending out those begging emails. The states and perhaps the federal system are going to have to defend themselves. Massive waste of taxpayers' money, isn't it?
Well, it just depends on how the states have it set up. I believe in Wisconsin, it costs $3 million, and you have to put that up. So the campaigns will have to. And in some states, it's an automatic recount. So if it's less than a certain percentage, there will be an automatic recount.
Are you really proud to be a Trump supporter today?
I'm very proud of what President Trump has accomplished. Record number of women in the GOP have won House seats. Just look at what the polls were saying up till last week, and look where the election actually ended. You cannot deny the fact that President Trump had huge coattails that brought in a record number of female GOP House members, and still we're counting in California. There will be more, we believe, and also in the Senate. The Senate is basically, we'll have to see what happens in Georgia. But I believe that President Trump being on the top of the ticket was a huge help to these down ballot candidates. And Senator Lindsey Graham has said as such, for the people who, care about where our country stands. This is after Tuesday. You can certainly say this is a center-right country. This is not a country that is looking for very liberal and progressive views. And don't just take my word for it. It's what the Democrats said on their own call with Nancy Pelosi, the speaker, last week.
Yeah, but conversely, there were some Republicans, including some prominent Republicans, who voted for the Republican Party down ticket but couldn't bring themselves to vote for Donald Trump because of his antics and actually supported Joe Biden.
You're always going to have people who vote however they're going to vote, and certainly there can be split ticket voters. But we think that President Trump excelled with women. Helping women on the ticket, excelled with populations, in particular in the state of Florida and South Florida, with people who came from other countries like Nicaragua, like Venezuela, like Cuba, and really believe in the president's message and did not stand with Joe Biden and his message of perpetuating things that they saw in their own country that scared them. So President Trump did extremely well. I mean, whether you're a supporter or not, it doesn't matter. You have to admit that what President Trump was able to do, given the polling and where the polling showed things stood, he did extremely well. And we kept the Senate. Again, we'll see what happens in the state of Georgia. We have 2 races there now, and maybe that will change after the recount. But let's just say we still have two seats left. They were doing a victory lap in the Senate with Chuck Schumer, their minority leader, 2 weeks ago, saying, we're gonna have this, and it turned out quite to the contrary. So I think President Trump did extremely well.
Well, no one's doubting the results of this election except for you in this current conversation. You just said people are scared of Joe Biden. Do you think it's responsible to say to the American people that they should be scared of the incoming Democratic president who's served here in Washington since 1972?
Sure. I said that, South Floridians, by and large, they did not want Joe Biden, and they made that very clear. I think
no, you used the word scared. Do you think it's right to say that people should be scared of Joe Biden?
I think based on what they've seen in their home country and what they think that could become of America, yes, they're scared.
What are they scared of?
I think they're scared of socialism and pushing a socialist agenda. And I think that is something that, even Joe Biden has, his communications director yesterday said on Meet the Press, we're going to push a very aggressive, progressive agenda. And I think, again, this is...
Hang on, they've explicitly denied that they're going to follow a socialist agenda. Joe Biden, as I say, has a 50-year record in politics. He has never been a socialist. This is, from the point of view of saying it about Joe Biden, it's a smear and it's not true. Isn't that the case?
It is part of the party. The progressive platform of the party is very strong, I would say. And as evidenced by someone named, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the congresswoman from New York, who has wielded a lot of power. And, there's been rumblings that she said that, she would find either she would find someone to primary their senior senator from New York, Chuck Schumer, should that aggressive agenda not be pursued. There was a Zoom call, in fact, just over a week ago, where it was led by Bernie Sanders and members of the squad, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Ayanna Pressley, and they were talking about, let's just get Joe Biden in. We need to get him in, and then we will pursue. But the point is they weren't elected, were they? The man who's going to be president has a record. Joe Biden has a record. Kamala Harris has a record, and they're on the record, and they're on the record statements about the policies they're going to follow. That what you are doing is simply creating a smear about the stated intentions of the elected president, and indeed questioning his election. Thank you very much indeed, Amanda Mackey, for joining us. Let's move on now to Bob Weiner, who is a